start it off with maybe a general statement about playing Nebraska, what you see from them, and then we'll take your questions.
Good start for them. Just coming off a big tournament like we did. Great win against a very good Dayton team. Their guards, Watson and Webster, are outstanding. Watson's smaller, fast, jitterbug guard that can get in the lane, make shots, very active defensively, disruptive. Webster, just a big, strong 6'4" guard that handles the ball almost like a point guard, and tremendous athleticism going to the lane. So a lot to handle with those two guys. I like the guy, their sophomore inside guy, Morrow, inside, about 6'7". He's undersized, but about 230, 235, very athletic, disruptive that way, takes the ball to your chin, plays like city in terms of rebounding. And they've got some nice shooters on the wing. McVeigh played a great schedule so far. Lost a pretty good battle with UCLA and one of those last day in a tournament games with Virginia Tech that was probably a little bit ugly for 20 minutes, and then they just kind of didn't make shots in the second half. And Virginia Tech, found a way to win, was opportunistic, and so we'll see a very good team. I think they're very good defensively. Tim does a really good job with them. Well coached. Hard to score against. A little bit more pack line-ish defense in the man, and just very well schooled. Not out of position much, and we'll have to play well to win.
How much do you think you would use Sheldon in the game on tomorrow night?
I'd have to wait and see, but I would assume he'll hopefully get more and more minutes as we keep playing. He had a good practice yesterday, and some of it will be based on how he plays. If he plays well, he'll get more minutes. So, yeah, we're excited. We think he's, hopefully going to be turning the corner soon and getting back to where he can really play. There's been a little bit of a setback, not only for us, but for him personally. Feel bad for him just kind of getting that close and then kind of having to start back over a little bit. He's had to do that, but he just needs a little more confidence and a little more reps to feel comfortable out there. So, optimistic that he'll play well Wednesday.
He said he feels like he's just as fast. Has that been your assessment from watching him?
I thought he looked good yesterday in practice. I thought he looked like he had good speed. The high point game maybe didn't lend itself to the way that he could play sometimes because it was a lot more zone and there wasn't as much open court to really be a speed guard in the game. I think he's getting close. I think he's getting close. He's been through it, so you hope that means that his confidence comes back quicker than somebody that hasn't been through something like that. But proof's in the pudding. You got to get out there and play, and he's got to produce and have positive results. And again, hopefully, we'll see that Wednesday.
These are two pretty good guards. Are you concerned about his on-ball defense?
A little bit, but that's. He'll be fine. And, our guys all need to be better defensively, to be honest with you. I talked a little bit. We just have a team that has a little bit more of an offensive mindset. And some of that shows in the way we score. We have more guys that can score, and their identity is more closely thought of to how they play offensively. That's how they view their games, and so sometimes that can be problematic. And we've had some guys around here, probably Landry Noko, Rod Hall, even KJ to some degree, that were as much defensive minded guys. And this team just has to do better in that area, and if we're going to be as good as we want to be. And certainly our numbers bear that out. I think we've played well at times defensively, but we've also had breakdowns and not been as good, and so that's a real challenge for all our guys.
Is it a collective thing?
It's a little bit of just we have a lot more offensive minded players again, and that doesn't change just because the coach likes to defend. I mean, you got to keep working at it with guys, and you got to keep convincing them of that. And some guys are better defenders. Let's just put it that way too. I mean, when you're long and athletic and block shots, or can guard on the perimeter because of that. You have some inherent advantages, and when you're not built that way, you have some things you got to compensate for, and you really need to be good scouting wise, and you really need to be good in terms of your effort and your technique. And sometimes when you're not, you can't wipe away a mistake like Landry could or KJ could. Those guys could make some mistakes, but because they were athletic, they get back into play and block the shot or make the shot so difficult to make, guy couldn't make it. And so we just got to keep sticking with it and get better, and we got to coach them better in that area.
Can you talk a little bit about the start that City's had? And if you're surprised at all that he's off to this start?
I'm not as surprised as probably most people are, just because we know how hard he's worked. And I thought he was playing well last year. He just didn't ever play 30 minutes. He'd play 18 minutes, he'd play 20 minutes, he'd play 15 minutes. But if you looked at his numbers, and if he played 15 minutes and you doubled him to 30, and he was getting 5 rebounds in 15 minutes, if he plays 30, he's getting 10. And so that part doesn't surprise us at all. I think our coaching staff really felt like he was a guy that was ready to take a big jump and would take a good jump this year, some of it just being that he'd have more opportunity. And, you're really, again, I'm really proud of a guy like that. I'm really excited for a guy like that because he's paid his dues, he's waited his turn, he's earned the right to be a good player, be a starter, and he's really, really worked exceptionally hard, especially probably the last couple of years.
Shelton, it's just more mental, much more mental.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anything physically there that's too problematic. Just being comfortable, getting confidence back, and again, being out for a couple weeks too now. I mean, that you just go ride a stationary bike and run on whatever that new treadmill thing we have is. You run on one of those things, that's great, but that's not like playing. You got to get in your stance. You got to go up and down. You got to make reads. You got to make decisions, and so that takes a little time just to get back into form.
Coach, how much of a barometer was that tournament? You played Xavier and Oklahoma, a couple of really good teams closely, and obviously you're not at full strength right now at this point in the season.
Well, I think it was really good because I think it showed us things we need to work on. It showed us things we do well, and it showed us things we need to work on. And we've played good competition through 5 games, and we certainly wish we'd won them all, but we didn't. So let's learn from what we didn't do well, and go to making some improvements. And there's no false sense of security. Because we've won all the games, we've been able to see some things and understand that when you don't do these couple things, it really is a problem. And we played pretty well throughout a lot of the Xavier game, but when you're playing an elite team like that, you have to play really well all the time. And we didn't do that, and we had a lapse in the first half that really cost us. And, they had a guy get hot, and we didn't do a good job of getting that turned around until much later in the game than we should have. And, and then when you don't play well in a game like Oklahoma against a team with good players and good athletes, they're going to make you pay. And, we finally woke up and decided to play late in the game, but it was too little too late. And, it's disappointing, but, that's part of the process, and hopefully we've learned from those things, and again, we've had some good wins. We've played exceptionally well against a very good Davidson team, and played well against a Georgia team. So we've shown that we can play good basketball, and that's exciting as well.
On the offensive end, now that Shelton's back, looking back over the first 5 games, how would you assess the way you guys kind of shuffled the deck, especially guards on the offensive end of the floor?
Well, guys have had to play too much, and that's probably part of the reason defensively we're also not as good. Is you're playing out there 34, 35 minutes, and you're playing on tired legs. It's hard to not have some miscues, missed assignments, and then just sometimes for your effort to wane, and that's going to happen more on that end. I think offensively, we have a lot of guys that can score, and so we have balance. And we don't when we sub a guy in from the bench, it's not like we're putting a guy out on the floor that can't make a basket. Everybody can score. Everybody can make a shot. Marquise is a guy that's wired to score, so he certainly that's no downgrade at all. In some games, it's an upgrade. But I think that's the strength of our team, is having some balance that way and having some different guys that can do some things. We certainly have more options this year than we've maybe had consistent options, I think, than in the past.
You mentioned that long stretch of poor play against Oklahoma. Was that sort of a contagious collective thing where everybody just sort of...
I think it was a little bit of, the one thing that happens sometimes when you have a lot of guys that can score and are offensive minded is you want to help, and you think the best way to help is to take a shot, try to go make a shot. And sometimes when things aren't going well, that can actually be the worst thing you can do offensively, because you're trying to catch up too quickly and you're not taking things out of the offense. It's great that you have confidence. It's great that you can make shots. But if the other team's on a 7-0 run, and you got what seems like a good shot but maybe isn't, and there's still 20 seconds on the shot clock, maybe we need to turn that down and try to get a better shot with 12 seconds on the shot clock. And I think that happened to us in that game. And it's not only that game, it's happened to us in a couple games. And, it's that fine line between giving your guys a lot of freedom and letting them go shoot, make plays, be aggressive, not look over their shoulder, but also understanding time, score, rhythm of the game, momentum of the game. And we haven't been as good at that. And in the Oklahoma game, I thought we took a lot of quick shots, and it's one thing if you've made 2 in a row and you take a quick shot, and it's another thing if you've missed 3 in a row and you take the same shot. That's the big thing in basketball, is what's a good shot, and shot selection. And so I think that was a contributing factor. Just, again, when you have as many offensive-minded guys and guys that can make plays, they all want to be aggressive, they all want to help, and they think that's the best way. And sometimes, it might be to get somebody else's shot or get a better shot, and we've got to work through that.
Anything else, y'all?
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.